Welcome to letteringworld.com. I'm Kevin Horvath and welcome to Lettering World. I was very fortunate to purchase Oswald Cooper's typeface Cooper Black in 8-line wood type a number of years ago. The font is still in very good condition and I'm going to use it to design a poster for this letterpress project and then briefly take you through the letterpress process. Cooper Black is a heavily weighted, old-style serif typeface that is very friendly and very readable. It was designed by Oswald Bruce Cooper and was published in 1922 by Barnhart Brothers and Spindler's Type Founders in Chicago. This typeface was very popular and highly used. Cooper Black was an extra bold version of his earlier Cooper Old-Style typeface. Cooper was born in Ohio, then moved to Coffeyville, Kansas when he was very young. It was there where he began working in a printing shop. He then moved to Chicago and went to the Frank Holmes School of Illustration, where prolific American type designer Frederick Gowdy taught lettering. When Oswald Cooper published Cooper Black, because of its bold and impactful style, it was advertised as being the typeface for far-sighted printers with nearsighted customers. It became very successful, was highly used, as well as highly imitated. When originally released, some critics dismissed it and called it the Black Menace. But Cooper Black was very successful and went on to be the second highest-selling American Type Founders font of all time. Cooper Black also had another big resurgence in the 1960s and 70s and was used for the logos for Tootsie Roll Candy, Payless Shoes, the MASH TV show, Cooper Tires, Gillette razors, and the Beach Boys and the Doors albums, just to name a few. Before we get into my poster, I wanted to give a quick overview of the letterpress printing process for those of you who might not be as familiar with this process. I'm using a Vandercook proof press to print my design, and I am hand setting wood type, metal type, and ornaments to create the design. Once the design is complete and locked up on the press, you can ink up the press by putting a small amount of ink on the rollers and spread it across evenly to help start the process. Then lower the rollers to engage the inking system and let the ink spread evenly across all the rollers. Once the rollers are covered evenly, you can ink up the type and imagery. Now you are ready to feed your paper into the press to pull your first proof. I also think it's important to mention that this is a great printing process that teaches where a lot of our type terminology comes from, like setting type, which comes from hand setting metal type on a composing stick, upper and lower case, which came from Gutenberg, who used to keep his uppercase letters up high and his lowercase letters below, adding leading or line spacing, which comes from using lead strips to add more space between lines of copy, and even sayings like minding your P's and Q's, meaning it's easy to mix up the P's and Q's when setting type since all the letters are in reverse. So in creating my poster design, I typeset my copy, then laid out my design on the press using leading and spacing furniture to build around my design for lockup. Then I removed the black imagery off the press after I used it to place where the red type and imagery will go to help register the two colors. Once my red design was completed on the press, I began to mix the red color, inked up the rollers, and then inked up my design. I used the wood and metal spacers to fill the surrounding spaces for press lockup. I then pulled my first red proof and checked for any imperfections. Then I continued to print my production run on the red color. I then began to put back the black design on the press. For the text copy, I wanted to use a sans serif font that had thicks and thins, since I did not have a text Cooper type style. So I used Lydian, which I had in metal type and at 2 different sizes. Lydian was designed by Warren Chappell in 1938. So I built out my black design using Cooper Black, Lydian, and my collection of ornaments and dingbats to complete the design. I inked up my black design and began to feed the printed red sheets to complete my two-color poster design. The signature look of letterpress printing is a distinctive impression it puts into the paper stock. It showcases the tactile look of the centuries-old printing process. And here is the finished poster on the two different paper stocks.